Dear citizens of Israel, good evening. Since this war began, I made it clear that we are fighting the evil axis of Iran. This is a war of existence.
He's like, I've finally gotten my moment. Time has finally come. I get to have my favorite thing. War with Iran. Yay. I've told you for the past 9-10 months since this war began. The whole thing was about Iran. Now we get our moment in the sun.
Against a ring of armies and missiles that Iran is trying to place on us. In my speech at Congress a few days ago, I spoke about three...
Remember my victory lap at Congress? Yeah, that's right. I went to go speak at the most powerful institution in the world. You remember that, Israelis? Remember, he's speaking Hebrew right now, so he's speaking to the Israelis.
Arms of this axis of evil. Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah. The three H's. In recent days...
Yeah, basically, Mr. Zankar, Bibi watches October 7th happen, says, finally I can go to war with Iran.
We have delivered blows to these three arms. We took out Muhammad Def, we took out the Houthis, we struck them in one of the Israeli Air Force's most distant attacks, and yesterday we attacked...
Yes, laud our Air Force. We went over 1,000 miles to do an attack. Aren't we fucking cool? Look at the deadness in his eyes. He looks so dead in the eyes. He looks... Why does evil... You can just see it on the face. He's done some evil shit and he knows it, and it's written on his face. You can always tell people who are war criminals. Like one of the worst psychopathic, genocidal murderers. Like somehow it shows up on your face, okay? Don't genocide people. It's a bad look.
And struck Fuad Shukr, known as Muhsin, Hezbollah's chief of military. I would like to show my appreciation to the Israeli security forces and IDF for a precise strike on three fronts. Yesterday, we took out Nasrallah's deputy. He was the main person in charge of the massacre of the 12 children in Majd al-Shams, and he's also...
Really? So they're blaming, without any evidence, one of the deputies to Nasrallah, Nasrallah is the head of Hezbollah. And without any evidence, yes, he was the guy that ordered the missile strike on the 12 kids in a soccer pitch, in a football pitch, as they say. And by all accounts, from what I've heard, it's actually the Iron Dome was responsible for that stray rocket that landed on a children's playground. Another false flag by Israel used as a pretext to escalate violence within the region because you're an absolute belligerent psychopath. I guess it's just medieval age siege warfare and acts of aggression. That's your strategic policy. If you're Israel in the Middle East, you just have to start wars with all your neighbors. You can't justify your claim to the territory because you got there with a monopoly on violence. So you got to continue with the card you're dealt, right? Brute military force. Of course, they don't really have it though. It's all on layaway. It's all contingent on U.S. aid. So just wait till this house of cards falls.
12 children in Majd al-Shams, and he's also in charge of the murder of many other Israelis. He is also in charge of the many attacks against Israeli citizens over the last 9 months. He was one of the most wanted terrorists in the world. The United States put a $5 million reward.
Same dude, huh? Yeah, Netanyahu is the most wanted terrorist. You think he's projecting a little bit? He's literally a war criminal. This is a massive cope from the Antichrist. He's coping so hard. Wow.
On his bounty for him. He was involved in the murder of 241 American soldiers and 58 French soldiers in Beirut in 1983. He was a...
Yeah, because apparently he was responsible for some bombing in Lebanon, which killed American soldiers and French soldiers. Pretty based, if you ask me, because nobody begs the question, what are American and French soldiers doing in Beirut? Why are there no Lebanese militias in Miami or New York? It's unthinkable, right? But it's axiomatic to just say, well, soldiers belonged in the Middle East. They belonged in Lebanon. Nobody, they're terrorists for wanting us not there.
Key factor in the connection between Iran and Hezbollah, and he was in charge of the organization's missiles. Several days ago, when I visited in Majd al-Shams where the terrible massacre took place, I saw the grief of the families whose worlds have been ruined, and I told my sisters
and
brothers...
Yeah, they were protesting you. They were protesting you, calling you a murderer, calling you out because your son lives in Miami Tammy? Why isn't he in the Middle East being fired at like their children are? Amazing. You didn't want to tell us that, huh?
The Druze, we are brothers and sisters. We have a pact of life, and this
We are brothers and sisters with the territory that we've occupied and is illegal under international law.
pact is becoming even stronger in these
He's one of the most dangerous people on earth right now. I mean, the guy there needs to be 5 bullets in his brain. Like yesterday, like years ago, you know?
days of
He
grief.
could not care less about the Druze, of course. He doesn't care about his own citizens. Their strategic policy is to shoot their own citizens on sight if they're, being taken hostage. And even if not, sometimes they just want to make false flags.
The murder of these innocent children is just added on to the terrible ongoing suffering of our dear northern residents who have been expelled
Our dear northern residents, who we occupy
from their homes and whose homes have been struck, and we will not remain silent. We've closed our accounts with those who are against us, those who massacre our children, those who murder our citizens, those who put our country in harm's way will have to pay. Citizens of Israel, these are challenging days we are facing. Since the strike in
Correction. These are challenging days that you are facing. They always reflect themselves in their national territory. Whatever they're personally going through, he's projecting, right? But also, yeah, Israel, in another sense, yeah, you do have some challenging days ahead of you because you're circling the drain right now.
in Beirut, we have been hearing threats from every direction. We are
That's right. That's right. Threats from every direction. Couldn't be you, though, right? Couldn't be you. This is why you have to believe in that xenophobic rage. You just have to see the world, in a racist lens, because it couldn't be you. It's not the Israelis. No, it's the evil monolithic Arab states that are bloodthirsty terrorists. They're just backward, savage people, right? Couldn't be you. Yeah, we're facing threats from all sides. Yeah, you're completely encircled, motherfucker. You should be scared. You should be very scared, shaking in your boots.
prepared for every scenario, and we will be together.
Yeah, we've gamed out every possible scenario, and we found that we will lose tremendously. Actually, that's actually true. I learned recently that, they do game out these scenarios, obviously, and they do like war games, right? And the simulations that apparently, even according to Israeli officials themselves, they are not prepared for a war with Lebanon. They know that they will lose. And think about it. I mean, they are surrounded. That's a huge advantage when you're Iran, Lebanon, Hamas, Palestine, Syria, Yemen, from all different sides, And we already know the Iron Dome is not so ironclad. Yeah, they tested it and they know they will get destroyed. I mean, how many fronts are you prepared? Maybe it's a little bit you. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit you. You're fighting a war on 7 fronts. That's what you say. Every time you get in front of the camera, you're talking about how you're facing all these kinds of threats from all over the place. Couldn't be you. No, it's always the enemy, the enemy, the enemy. They are out for blood. I mean, I think it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
We will be determined against any threat. Israel will make anyone who is against us pay a very heavy price, no matter in which arena.
More deterrence language, right? We're crazy motherfuckers. Beelzebub, Smotrich. It's a good one. That's why I always think Bezalel sounds like a demon already, because a Beelzebub. Yeah, what kind of demonic name is Bezalel? Bagel Schmutz, should call him.
Citizens of Israel, back in the first early days of the war, I said that it will take a long time and that it will require all of
This guy
us.
sounds like Hitler. He's on his Hitler 1945 arc. Don't you think? Satan's on his Hitler 1945 arc. He's like, fellow citizens, at the beginning of the war, things were looking good, and then we had a war on 7 fronts. Now things are not so good. I must tell you to strengthen your resolve. The triumph of the will of the people. Our Israeli folk will rise. I'm giving all of our citizens weapons. We must now have a children's militia. We're running out of fighters. We're running out of tanks. We're running out of ammo. We need all hands on deck. Come on, my little Israeli chodes. Grab a gun, man a post. We're fucked. We're absolutely fucked.
Us to be patient, and I would like to reiterate that tonight. For the last few months, There's not been a single week when I have not been told, domestically and from outside the country.
Let's hear. What have you not been told? The big L that you're taking right now? Let's hear it.
End the war. End the war because we have exhausted everything we can achieve and we cannot
That's
win
right.
it.
Oh, wow. So he's basically telling everyone, yes, I'm very unpopular. I'm deeply unpopular domestically and on the world stage. Everybody's trying to get me to end this war. I cannot do it. Why does everyone hate me? You're basically telling on yourself. This is such a weak, impotent little man. He just happens to be a head of state. He's just such a soft-penised little bitch. And he's got to get up, in front of the cameras and cope.
I did not give in to these voices then, and I will not give in to them today.
Yes. Bitch, I'm on my Hitler arc. I'm doubling down. I am a double down clown. It's fucking April 1945. Let's go. I'm ready to get in the bunker and blow my brains out. I'm Benjamin Netanyahu. This is the language of a fucking fascist psychopath who is hell-bent on seeing, if it's gonna be his demise, it's gonna be everyone's demise. This is like straight out of Hitler's playbook. Well, if I'm going down, I'm taking every single person with me. This is not going to end well.
If we had given in to these pressures, we would not have taken out these leaders of Hamas and the many...
Yeah, we wouldn't have been able to do all these escalation, these acts of escalation. We wouldn't be in such dire straits right now. Look at me. Look how successful I am. I assassinated 3 leaders. What is this he's selling to his people? What is he selling? More war. He's making the state of Israel less safe. He's contributing to the existential crisis of the Israeli state and its eventual demise. He's sealing the fate.
Destroyed Hamas infrastructure. They simply would have had them still remaining. We would not have taken over the Philadelphia corridor and the oxygen tube of Hamas that is allowing them to recover. We would not have created these conditions that are bringing us closer to an outline that will bring our hostages back, but will also allow us to achieve all the goals of the war.
What am I hearing? This is insane. Let's run that back.
End the war because we have exhausted everything we can achieve and we cannot win it.
So he's admitting that all of the outside influences, both domestically, foreign, within his body politique and also within the civilian population, the popular outcry, everyone's telling him we can't win the war, and he's admitting this.
I did not give in to these...
But he did not, because he's strong, he did not give in. He did not give in to this weakness. Remember, it's weak to want to stop killing babies. It's weak to not butcher children by the tens of thousands. It's weak to not starve millions of people. So he says he's not giving in.
Voices then, and I will not give in to them today. If we had given in to these pressures, we would not have taken out these leaders of...
Look at the amazing circumstances I've created for the state of Israel. Look at these pristine conditions for the state of Israel. We've never been so popular, folks. If I had given in, Netanyahu is saying, we wouldn't have been able to do all this murder. We wouldn't enjoy the reputation that we have on the world stage. You have me to thank. I mean, this guy is completely delusional. He either knows the end is coming and he's just trying to stall for time, or he is like literally this delusional and he thinks that there is a way out in which he, becomes supreme commander of the greater state of Israel and rules over the Middle East with an iron fist. Is that this guy's wet dream? Beautiful leader for such an amazing nation. Yeah, this is God's chosen people doing what they're doing. Not a cell phone in sight, just normal chosen people doing what they're doing in their promised land.
Of Hamas and the many terrorists, we would not have destroyed Hamas infrastructure. They simply would have had them still remaining. We would not have taken over the Philadelphia corridor and the oxygen.
Yeah, now we've occupied more territory. We've occupied the Philadelphia corridor, which is the southern corridor between Gaza and Egypt. He's saying, now we've done more war crimes.
Tube of Hamas that is allowing them to recover.
We've taken them off of life support. The Philadelphia corridor, because we've squeezed them out of there. That oxygen, which is to say, I would think the tunnels, right, or the aid from Egypt or from humanitarian organizations. Yeah, that's the oxygen. We're cutting off their oxygen. We're starving our own hostages as well. His son is in Miami with the number 2 his parents' offshore accounts, right? He doesn't give a fuck about his country or his father, right? Oh yeah, he's partying up at the beach right now.
not have created these conditions that are bringing us closer to an outline that will bring our hostages back, but will also allow us to achieve all the goals of the war, having all the hostages returned and destroying all military.
Yeah, your goal is to have all the hostages returned, of which a lot of them are already killed, okay? Let's be honest, you already killed them. And yet you're saying this hours after you ordered the assassination of the lead negotiator of Hamas. So you're saying, oh, the idea where our goal is still to get those hostages back, you're assassinating the negotiators. I want to examine the brains of people in Israel that believe this man.
Abilities of Hamas to make sure that Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel.
Yeah, Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel because it's Gaza that poses a threat to Israel, not Israel that poses a threat to Israel. Gaza, the worst humanitarian crisis on earth, is our biggest, most fearful enemy. We're so frightened. This is such settler colonial logic. This reeks of United States of America because we are the most frightened and the most frightening nation in the world. And this is the same with Israel in the Middle East. They are so frightening, right? They will bomb your families while they sleep at night. They'll starve you. They'll launch, Bronze Age medieval siege warfare on 7 fronts. And they'll still masquerade as if they're the victim. They'll talk about Gaza as if it's a superpower. It's apparently a superpower that they should be afraid of. They're a bully. We're living in a world where there's one big bully that controls the entire world, the United States, and we have the little mini bully that does the bullying of the Middle East, and that's Israel. So it's pretty gross. Always trying to make it out like they're the victim. In what world do we live in where we could actually believe that Israel is frightened by the Gaza Strip? In what world do we live in? Are Israelis actually frightened by Palestinians? It's absolutely absurd. I know they're the Israeli diaper farts, but are they really that scared of children so much? The cowardice is legendary.
Israel, and to bring our residents in the south and north safely back to their homes. All of these accomplishments that we have accomplished in recent months, we have accomplished because we did not give in.
We did not give in. Thank you for being the strong man at the head of the government. Look at this evil dude. Can you imagine living in a family and one of the family members is Israel? Just absolute sociopath, psychopath. A family with Israel as one of its members is just absolutely dysfunctional, right? Now think of that on the world stage.
Because we made brave, courageous decisions despite many pressures domestically and from outside Israel. And I want to tell you, it was not easy. I had to push back on a lot of pressure. But above all else, we have accomplished all that we have accomplished because...
Yeah, because giving in is weak, okay? I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but go watch Aquaman 2, which is an awful movie. Don't go watch it. But it's the same, the great leader, the great man in history. I mean, this goes into our propaganda, our Hollywood industrial complex propaganda. Everybody lauds the great leader that did not bow to his people, did not give in. He alone knew the way. It's like capitalist indoctrination, capitalist propaganda. And I can see the same theme being expressed by this evil man who's patting himself on the back. Look at his evil face. He's patting himself on the back for, look what he just said, not giving in to pressure. The popular consensus, whether it be the government, whether it be the population of Israel, even as fascistic as they are, they're even calling for Benjamin Netanyahu to stop the quote-unquote war. He's not bowing down, okay? He has a plan. He has a vision for his people. He has a vision for the region. He's gonna do his thing anyway, so all y'all. It doesn't matter. He's the winner in his book, okay? It doesn't matter at what cost. He'll never tell you what cost. So it's just that same kind of mythology about the great man in history forging a new path. I mean, it's a bunch of bullshit. That's not how events unfold, and it's not weak to have a democracy. It's not weak to listen to popular opinion and popular attitudes and to, in the eyes of Satan, give in.
Our warriors, our soldiers in the IDF, in the ISA, in the police force, in the various security forces, they're not giving in. They are fighting like...
That's right. Just God's chosen people in their poopy land doing chosen people shit, Just chosen people doing chosen people shit. God, it almost sounds like Israel's just a military base with a Starbucks. Jesus Christ.
Lions, they are determined to win, and I, together with the people of Israel, am backing them with great love and with great faith in the justice of our ways. We never forget the families, the bereaved families who have lost everything that was dear to them, the families of the hostages who are waiting for their beloved ones to return, and our casualties who have been injured and are fighting for their lives. Thanks to them and thanks to you, citizens of Israel, we will continue to fight together, and with God's help help together,
Thanks.
we will reign victorious.
We will reign victorious. Just typical chosen people stuff, folks. So, Netanyahu is on his Hitler arc, circa 1945. The walls are crumbling down. Berlin is falling. This is when Hitler goes out and greets the little Hitler Youth Army. He's like, all right, gotta go to my bunker now and wait it out. Yeah, can we fast forward to that? When do we get to the part where we're burning his body and we gotta identify him through dental records? But that's sort of what it feels like, doesn't it? And I always go by vibes. Basically, in a nutshell, too long didn't read. Satan just got in front of camera, said, "Fuck you, I'm gonna keep doing what I want, and thank you for your time." All right, back to the bunker. Exactly, Cherry. A fucking groundhog coming out just to flip us off. Yeah, 6 more weeks of winter, bitch.
Nixon ordered Cambodian genocide. Clinton sent cruise missiles to Sudan, people died. Obama gave the orders to do drone strikes.